What's up? Gonna go over my oil trade on the day. This one was just a scalp. There wasn't a zone that I necessarily played, but there was a news catalyst that came out, and I ended up scalping that for about $1 or so, a little bit more than $1 maybe. But here's what I was seeing prior to. So daily, ignore this candle, that's the current one. But we kind of have this overall downtrend. And then I had a key level at 87.50 where we had bounced previously. We bounced over here as well. And we had broke it, but we came back inside. So, and I did have this trend line here showing like an uptrend that we had broken here. This is actually a really good play if you trade overnight. This is a 1 hour hammer on high volume that broke the trend and then got bought back up. So this is what I would consider like a micro trend break where the trend stays intact, but it breaks it just slightly and then gets bought back up. So it gets a lot of people short. They get trapped when price comes back into the trend and then it just rockets. So, but I was not up at 2 in the morning because I don't trade that. Fuck that. And this is the open. So we'll go. So here's what I saw at the open. That's not the open. Open was at 7 a.m. my time, so two more. So that was the open candle right there. Huge, massive break of the trend line. Coming down into our key level here. And the previous low of day, this yellow dotted line is the previous low of yesterday. So that's an area that I like to look for trades at as well. So we broke it super strong. I didn't want to chase this short because I really didn't have anywhere to put a stop. You know, if I shorted here, to me, I'd have to put a stop up here, and it's just way too wide. So I kind of let it play out. But it was a large drop that you definitely could have caught short if you were watching it. So I kind of let it play out down here. We did get a nice hammer on high volume right here. But there wasn't a zone. So I tried to look back and see if there's any zones in this area. But there really was no like demand zones down here. I mean, we did have a lot of wicks. There's obviously some sort of demand right here, but I didn't have a clean zone to trade off of, so I didn't touch it. But I did note it and I did see it. I did see this and I was looking for it to possibly come back up. So after that hammer candle on volume, we slowly started trending higher. If you notice, every candle here has a higher low. So even though it's a slow trend, it's still a strong trend. That's also something to note on like the days where ES and NQ just slowly bleed up. Even though it's a strong or even though it's a slow trend and each candle barely makes higher lows, it's still a strong trend. So those are the days you don't want to short if the market's trending up or long if the market's trending down. You want to go with it. So but volume was falling off here. And then news broke in the middle of the day. I forgot what it was, but it was something that showed that the supply of oil could be restricted if something happened. So we got this massive candle on super high volume, and I saw that. I saw that we closed back inside yesterday's low and that we were approaching and closing above like this area right here. And then depending on how you drew your trend line, if you drew it down to this now, we were closing back inside the trend line. So to me, that's another area to look for is the trend lines. If they truly do break, typically you see it break down, come back up, and then reject. So they come back and test like the trend line on the other side. This one had a lot of momentum behind it, and so I ended up taking this long here, anticipating that we would reach this zone up here or close to. Um, Granted, my stop, I didn't really have an area to get stopped. Usually my brackets on oil are about 60 cents, so that's what I usually like to risk and trade 2 or 3 lots. But I did take the close of this candle long. We did get a little bit of a pullback, but it wasn't more than 60 cents. So it was about 69. So it did come close to hitting. I will say that it was very close. Um, but it kept going, and so I ended up scaling a little bit here, just due to the next push, and this was about 67. So that was about $1 move, and that's usually what I'm looking for when I trade oil is like $1, maybe $1.50. Um, there's really no like guarantee that it's going to run $2, $3, $4 because if you look up here, the average move in a full day is only $4.39. So if I can get even half of that, like that, or like a third of that, that's great. So that's usually what I get on ES as well. Um, ES, the average is about 68, 69 points currently over the last 2 weeks. And so I aim to get, 20 to 25, and that's like a really solid trade. So, yeah, so I just took this long here, anticipating the momentum would follow through due to just the extremely high volume and the news coming out. And so I sold one there. I was able to hold through this pullback because my entry was down here. And then once we broke, I was holding my last one here. And once we broke the high a day, and then I scaled my last one there at this target area. So pretty simple trade, just a news catalyst. It would have been nice to take it down here, but I didn't have a zone, so it wasn't an A plus setup where I get the volume coming in at a zone where I think buyers are going to come in. So that was my trade. And then one thing to note too that I did think about swinging something on oil just due to this candle right here on the daily. It's currently up, but this candle, we broke this really strong area of support, got bought back up on really high volume. And I think swinging this and a possible continuation play for oil tomorrow would be a good move. So I am looking for another trade on oil above the close of yesterday or above this area, this 91.67, and this key area I have at like 91.40-ish. Looking to target this 690-minute supply zone up here. So I will be looking to trade oil tomorrow, see if we get some sort of continuation off the news today, but it's looking good. So that's what I'll be doing. And that was my trade. Pretty simple and straightforward. Just took the news and the momentum and saw it come in and scalped it long. So another thing, yeah, on ES2, this is the average, this 62.37, this is the average high to low, so the daily ATR over the last 10 days, so 62. So I look to get, 20, 30 points on a trade if I can, and that's a really good day to me. You're never going to catch the full move, so if you can get a third of the daily range to, a half, that's really good. So something to look for, and so that's why on oil I usually try and scalp about $1 to $1.50 or trade $1 to $1.50 because that's usually about a leg as well. So oil can get pretty volatile too. Like the pullbacks can be pretty big. So usually I like to just get a single move or like a single leg push, something like this where this is 89.50 up to like 90.50, even 91. Like that's a really good trade too. So yep, that was my oil trade. Pretty simple and straightforward. Just looking for news to come out with momentum. And that's usually what I look for on Wednesdays as well when the oil report comes out an hour after the stock market opens. There's usually a pretty big move to get in on, or at least a decent move to catch. So that's how I trade oil. Thanks for watching, guys.